Hello everyone. Just to let you know, I am not a mechanic. I'm an old, short, fat guy with a leaking valve cover. This is my 2017 Kia Forte LX with the 2.0-liter engine. The engine has over 230,000 miles and this is the first time replacing the valve cover gasket. After removing the engine cover, I removed the dipstick and placed it out of the way. Using needle nose pliers, I pinched the hose clamp and moved it away from the connection. I carefully used the same pliers to grip the hose to move it back and forth to loosen the hose, then I was able to remove the hose and move them out of the way. I disconnected the wires from the ignition coils. Then, using a 10mm deep well socket, I removed the 4 ignition coils and stored them out of the way. There was no oil in the spark plug tubes, so I left the spark plugs in place. Just as before, I used the same procedure for removing this hose. Now I disconnect the wires from the cam's half position sensors. This engine has dual overhead cams, so there are 2 sensors. I then used my needle nose pliers to pinch the plastic expanding clip to release a wire connection going over the valve to another sensor. I then moved this and the ignition coil wire out the way. Using my 10mm deep well socket, I removed all of the valve cover bolts and placed them in a safe place until they are needed again. The valve cover bolts are unique, so I definitely did not want to lose any of them. The valve cover was stuck in place, so I carefully used a flathead screwdriver to pry the cover loose. I must admit that this scared me the most because I could have easily damaged the cover. With a little work, I got it off. There are 2 black spots where the manufacturer placed a dab of silicone. As you can see, the flat mating surface and the adjacent area are very dirty and will need to be cleaned. As I tried to remove the old gasket and seals, the gasket was so hard and brittle, that it easily broke apart. The old gasket felt like it was made of rock, and here you can see a large crack. I started off using a flathead screwdriver to remove the seals. I then moved to a razor blade for the small seal and
hard as a fucking rock.
ultimately using the long needle nose pliers for the ignition tube seals. I won't lie, it took more effort than expected as the seals were hard as a rock. I prayed that I wouldn't screw up the valve cover while removing the seals. I managed to not to mess anything up.
Scary ass shit.
I used a clean paper towel to remove any oil and dirt from the gasket channel and the mating surface for the seals. I then carefully installed the gasket and the two small seals into the valve cover. I used a sharp plastic tool to remove the old silicone off the aluminum block. I didn't want to use anything metal or too hard as it could easily scratch the flat surface. Damaging the flat surface could easily cause the gasket to seal improperly. I used a clean cloth to remove the heavy dirt and oil. Then I used some denatured alcohol and a paper towel to go over the same area to finish the cleaning. Installing the seals where the ignition coil tubes will be. I made sure that the newly cleaned area was fully dry before adding a dab of new silicone in the same spots as shown earlier. With the new gasket and seals installed, I very carefully lined up the seals and valve cover bolts, then lightly placed the valve cover where it is supposed to go. With a gentle push, it fell into place. Going back to my 10mm deep well socket, I installed the valve cover bolts, but only finger tightened them. Using the star pattern, I then proceeded to tighten the bolts, using the socket wrench, until they came to stop using very little force. Using the star pattern and a torque wrench set to 7.5 foot-pounds, I then tightened valve cover bolts. As a side note, I was uncomfortable with my torque wrench, so I bought a new digital torque wrench that was designed for light torque specs. I did go back and verified the torque settings with the new digital torque wrench. Time to put everything back together. Thankfully everything went back into place easily. Thank you for taking the time to watch my video. I hope this helps you. If you are a real mechanic, let me know how I did. Y'all take care yourselves and be safe.